Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to my stream and welcome to another chapter working on this guy here. That's our A-10C Thunderbolt. We'll get going on that intro and we'll see you in a minute. We're back and we're going to continue on with this bird. I spent a whole bunch of time doing the decals on this guy. Let me grab him here. Did all the decals on this guy all over, bottom also. Yeah, so he's got lots of decals on him now. I went with the shark nose on this guy. Yeah, decals went down nice, no problem at all. I was having a little bit of concern when I was laying these down with some air bubbles in them, but with the Tamiya Mark Fit Super Strong, that took care of those nicely. So I let the decals dry for a day and then I put some clear coat down. Usually I would use Tamiya's spray clear coat. I forget the number, AS30. I'm in Canada, so I can't get that stuff anymore. That really sucks because I loved using that as a nice quick gloss clear coat for this stuff, but I couldn't. So I used Tamiya's X22 clear. Put it in the airbrush and sprayed it, and so I've got a clear coat sealing all the decals in. So what's next, you say? Well, we're going to do some weathering. Okay, I'm going to do the panel lines, and that's what we're going to do today. Panel lining. Panel lining. Fun. Okay, so you guys have seen me on just about every other plane build. You lay down your clear coat. It should be gloss. Okay, the flat clear. What happens when you put this stuff down, the flat clear, this stuff just kind of gets absorbed into it and it's really hard to clean. So you want to use a gloss clear when you're doing this stuff, okay? So basically, shake it up, and we're basically going to draw lines everywhere, okay? We're going to be drawing lines all over the plane. We can do section by section, but it doesn't really matter, okay? So let's just find a sweet spot for this to be on the desk. I'll change the camera so you can see a little better what I'm doing here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with this wing here. Why not? Let's start with this wing. Let's get this guy pivoted a little bit on my limited desk space. I'm going to change my glasses so that I can see better up close. Okay. Alright, so we have our wing, obviously. It's right in front of us. We're going to take this and we're going to draw along the panel lines. Just like this. It doesn't have to be precise. It doesn't matter. But this is what we're doing. Everywhere. You can be precise with it if you want. You don't have to be, because at the end of the day we're going to be cleaning up a good 90% of this stuff. We're just going to be leaving a very faint line. I want to do it around these hinge parts. Especially in here where maybe there's some hinge action, maybe some grease going on in there. For our flaps, I'm not going to do those. I'm going to leave those. But I do want to try and pick out our panel lines. You guys have seen me in past builds really go just sloppy messy with this stuff. Again, it doesn't matter, and it all depends on how dirty you want your plane to be. What kind of plane are you portraying? how much dirt, filth, grease, grime, you know, are you going to be, you know, like I see so much on the forums, you know, no crew chief would ever allow blah, 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 right? And you see these guys build their really, really dirty planes. But it's totally up to you. Honestly, doing this stuff is really just about making the panel lines pop, so it's visually interesting to look at. That's really the only reason for this. Because in real life, the panel lines are very subtle, right? And they are. They're just, that's the way it is. Panel lines on aircraft are very subtle. Why are they subtle? Because they've got very tight tolerances in their panels. So it's not about, you know, can you see the panels in real life? No, they're very, very subtle. But for a model kit, it just looks cooler when you can see them, right? I'm going to do up on the top of the engine here since it's on the, I'm on the same side anyway. So we're going to go along our engine too. I don't know if, yeah, that's on camera, good. If you're like me, sometimes you get in a hurry, and I find the more of a hurry I'm in, or the less patient I am, the sloppier I get, and the quicker I want to go. That's what I find with myself, anyway. When we're cleaning these all up, you'll find some of the lines are going to disappear, some will stay. I need to tilt this. I can't see where the lines are. So it doesn't really matter. If some lines disappear and then you can't see them anymore, that's okay. Some of these are just lines of rivets and they're not actual panels. Well, I suppose in reality they probably are panels. Some of it is really just guessing. Like, you got rivets along here along the spine, but I don't know if there's actually a panel line there. I just know there's a line of rivets. There's tons of rivets along this guy here, right? Rivets everywhere. So one thing I did point out, when I first opened up this kit and I started building it, I did point out very quickly that the rivet detail on this kit was really fantastic. And it is. But that being said, the panel line detail is very shallow. That is true with this kit. The panel line detail is very shallow. So I'm just going to continue on drawing my lines everywhere. Okay, I think that's reasonable. This is a big long spine along here. There's some lines that I don't even know if it's a line or not. Let me tilt this up here. It looks like a line. It's like a panel that's lined with rivets on each side. All kinds of panels. As we get to the front, there's more panels. There. Come on. I'm going to, because my paint is getting a little, I'm going to try a little trick that I've seen online. What to me is little jars. Apparently you can extend this brush out. Grab tweezers here. Well, actually needle nose pliers. That didn't really extend it out, now did it? But apparently you can extend this out. So I'm going to try holding on to this. It doesn't seem to be true. Oh yes, pull that out. Okay, that's a little longer than it was. Let's shove this back down on there. And that's about double the length, I'd say, of what it was. So that, in theory, should dip down into the paint a little more. Yeah, cool. There we go, guys. We just learned something today. Well, it's not something I'd say I learned today, but it's the first time I put it into practice. Now with the color scheme up front, it's kind of hard to see all my panel lines here, but there's lots. Up on the nose we got our refilling pod here, detail. It's kind of funny, you know, I've seen, and I've built an A-10 before, I just forget whose it was. I think it may have been Italiary. May have been Revell. I do not remember the brand that I built before. I can't say I was extremely happy with it. Yeah, it did okay. But, you know, as far as A-10s go, it was reasonable. But, okay. So now I've got about half this done, roughly. So this is where we get to the fun part, the cleanup. So we're going to have our paper towel ready. We're going to get some white spirit, or anyway, it's enamel thinner, right? It's odorless thinner. This AK calls this stuff white spirit. You can get it in a bigger jar like this, and they call it white spirit. This one is just the odorless thinner, they call it. Odorless thinner for enamel products. Okay? Because what we just laid down there is a bunch of enamel. Okay? This is enamel. So, the reason this is going to work is because the clear coat and everything is lacquer. And so, even though we put this thinner down, you could take this thinner, pour it all over here, and it's not going to touch the lacquer underneath at all. So Q-tip, we're going to dip in there. Let's put this on our paper towel while we close this up. And we're going to take this and we're just going to go like this and just kind of dry it off a little bit. We don't want it super soaking wet. And we're going to go back to our starting point and we're going to start wiping the stuff away. Okay, just like this. Now, like I said before, it's going to get rid of, because the panel lines are really shallow in this, it's going to kind of pull the lacquer, or not lacquer, it's going to pull the panel liner kind of right out of the line. Okay, but we're going to try and leave a subtle hint of it on all these lines. Of course, where we miss the line completely, we want to pull that, we want to clean that thinner up, or we want to clean the panel liner up completely. Now you can wipe it also. You can do this, and when you do that, you can see I get a little bit of a streaking effect. You can think, oh, you're telling a story, right? You're telling a story with your build. So you could say, hey, we had some grease, we had some dirt there, and they didn't clean it up, and the plane went for a little flight, and it was dirty. Okay, and you can leave it like that. Like I said before, you can leave it as clean or as dirty as you want, whatever story you're trying to tell. You see what I've done there? I've done some streaking. Now, again, I can clean it up. I can pretend there is a hinge and really clean that up, or I can just leave it. I don't want this plane to be super filthy dirty, so I want to clean up most of this. I don't mind a little bit of dirt. I mean, hey, this thing's been in flight and been in use. I don't mind this little bit of streaking back here. I think I'm going to leave that, but for the most part, I'm going to clean this up. I am going to get a cleaner paper towel. That one is heavily used and should not be used for cleaning airplane parts so much. So there we go, got a new one here. Now eventually what happens is your Q-tip gets really filthy. I want to clean this front edge up a little bit. I'm getting a little bit of a weird stickiness going on that I've not encountered before. I have a feeling the thinner is eating into the Tamiya X20 clear. I could be wrong, but it feels like that's what I got going. What is that? It feels like that's what I got going on here. This is the process, guys. This is how you do it. Again, you can make it as clean or as dirty as you like. It really is up to you. Give this a little wipe. Get some streaks going on. And again, if you really lay down the thinner, I got a gel thing going on here, and that's bugging me. It's almost like the thinner is taking a bit of the clear coat away, and it's kind of weird. Yeah, it definitely is. It's taking a bit of the clear coat away. And then where I've left it, where I've stopped streaking it, it's left. Now that's probably my own fault in the way that I clear coated this thing. I did just clear coat this yesterday, but that shouldn't be an issue. It's almost like I should put down a layer of I've got some Mr. Hobby clear, but it's semi-gloss, and I didn't want to do semi-gloss. In hindsight, maybe I should have. Yeah, it's definitely eating away at my clear coat. So I don't know why. You guys tell me in the comments, X22, why, when this is acrylic, why is this getting eaten away by white spirits, which is for enamel? This should not be have any reaction to the acrylic paint at all, and yet it is. The more I wipe on this with the thinner, it's kind of taking a very top layer of my clear coat away. Right there, I can feel it digging into it as I go to get rid of the panel liner. It starts getting into the clear. So this is going to be a really funky looking bird when she's done, because what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to change my plan. Once I've got this, whatever I've done here, once I got that cleaned up, well, I'm going to have to re-clear coat this thing. This did not come up clean at all. Yeah, I can feel it even get sticky because it's dug into the clear and taken some of the clear away. And in fact, my wing has become kind of flat, like I've just taken all the clear off and it's not shiny here anymore. You can see that section there. You can see where I haven't touched on the decal. It's glossy, but this is not. It's taking my clear coat away. It should not be doing that at all. It should not be attacking the clear coat. And yet, here we are, clear coat attacked. And I don't know why. And yet here I am, doing this anyway. I'm doing it because I can't clear over these awful panel lines, because that will seal them in forever. I have to try and clean these up as best as I can, even if that means just eliminating them for the sake of everything else. Yeah, it's just... I mean, the plane's going to be coated in a semi-gloss anyway, but it shouldn't be so... You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm rambling now. These rivets, these lines of rivets really do a number to the Q-tip, that's for sure. I'm going a lot heavier on these now because I know it's going to eat into the clear. Now that I know we've got a clear coat issue, I'm just getting in here. My main thing is just get rid of the panel liner completely, and I'm okay if it completely pulls all the panel liner out because I've got to clear coat this thing again. We've got to go back over our clear coat and get her done. So I'm basically changed my strategy here, at least for now, and I need to do the clear again on this guy. So I'm going to soak my Q-tip a lot. It's basically the quicker I can do this and just wipe this away and wipe it clean. It's not the end of the world. This is okay, actually, you know. It's not bad. It's just dug into the clear and yeah. Basically, cleaning this up. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to kind of wash it with the thinner and then give a wipe with the cloth. Because going over these rivets with the Q-tip is kind of futile. So we're going to clean this up this way. This is not the normal way to do this, guys. I'll tell you right now. But to preserve my clear as much as I can, I got to do this quickly. I have to clean up this kind of mess that I've got going on now. Clean all this up. So I'm just basically, I'm using the thinner as a wash and then wipe it away before it eats my thinner too badly. Eats my thinner. I'm having trouble talking. Maybe I need to drink my coffee a little bit more here. Man, just rubbing it just like that with a little bit of on my rag, I could feel it just start to bite in. It goes from wiping on smooth to just kind of suddenly slowing down because it's biting into the thinner. Biting into the clear coat. I have not had this happen to me before, where it's done that to me. I've never had this eat into it. Oops, I got my thing going on there. Okay, so I guess I got that cleaned up relatively okay. At least to the point I don't mind it. This is still a little, this wing's a little dirtier than what I like, what I wanted, so I'm going to try and clean this up a little bit here. Okay. Yeah, this edge too, I don't like it. It's too dirty. Okay. So we're kind of back to square one. Of course, with it eating into it, I gotta let this dry. I can't touch this now. I gotta let this dry, and I can't really do anything with it. Unfortunately, we just spent a good half an hour on a process that I now need to let dry before I can actually put any paint on this. I'm gonna have to re-clear this, but I'm gonna use different clear coat. I'm gonna go over it with Mr. Hobby's paint, but I don't think I've got gloss. I think I only have semi-gloss. So I'm gonna have to run to the store, basically. Okay. Now all of a sudden my thing ain't working. What's wrong with this? Well guys, I'm back, and yeah, had some technical difficulties earlier, but I'm back. At least I'm back, right? Well, get this over here. I have re-clear coated this now with, I actually happened to find my Tamiya AS, what is it, AS29? What is it? Let me see. AS30? TS. I'm way off. TS13. Clear. I found my can of clear. You see, in Canada, we can't get that stuff anymore. None of the Tamiya spray paints are available in Canada anymore. So that kind of sucks for guys like me who love to spray with the Tamiya clears, or any Tamiya spray paints really, out of the can. I did happen, you know, when I first heard about the Tamiya spray paint's not going to be available here anymore, well, I kind of bought a few cans just to last me a little while, because I don't use it that often, but I do use it for this kind of stuff. So here we are. So we can continue with our little weathering process. Okay, so we're going to grab our Q-tip again. I'll change the camera again, and we'll go back and we can do this stuff. Okay, so we did the other wing, kind of did the other engine a little bit, started this one a little bit. We started on the side, but then I had to clean it all off again. So now we've got it all done. So again, back with the panel liner and back with the different glasses. The different glasses is a necessity. There we go. Okay, so we cleaned all this off, right? So we're going to get in there and we're going to redo this. Redo our lines like this. Get them all done, redone. Again, it's not something that it really has to be done perfectly. If a few lines don't really show up, that's quite all right. It doesn't really matter. Because, like I mentioned before, aircraft panel tolerances are pretty tight, and so in real life you don't really see them that much. But to make your model visually pop out, we do our panel lines. There's quite a few little lines that are on the front, little cone on these. It's kind of neat. Just go along. This one line here was one I had to really pay attention to when I was doing the painting, because the lighter gray doesn't go along to the front on the wings for some reason. There was a line here somewhere. There's a line in here somewhere. Okay, let's pick this bird up, or at least tip it over a little bit. Let's do this side of the engine here. Get some lines going on here. It's not a heck of a lot, but just for continuity, we'll go around all the rivets. There we go. While I'm at it, since I've got this in my face, I might as well do this wing. It looks like I didn't do a very good job at cleaning up the clear on this. We will see. I like to do a little bit of a streak like this on the hinges, just to maybe, maybe there was some grease. The panel lines on the tail fins really don't do much. Let's do this side too. When I redid the clear, I really kind of just focused on the fuselage, not so much on the wings or the tails. So I might have a bad day with the tails again. We will find out. So let's do this side. Go. And a little bit on this one. And I got to do the kind of the underside of the engine on this one, this side. Okay. Now we're going to work our way up the front of the plane along the fuselage. So we're going to do these all over again. Remember, we did these earlier, but then I wound up having to clean them all out and totally get rid of all of my attempt at these lines. Including all the ones on the nose. Which, because of how shallow they are, they're all pretty much going to disappear anyway. But if I can try and keep them a little bit, I'm going to go around the detail on this. So that's a nice little detail. Same at the back here. The fact that they stick out, it's kind of a neat little detail. Sorry that's done off camera, just the way I'm holding it. Let's flip her over. Speaking of holding it, and do this side of the fuselage. We got a line here, going along here, here. I think it's probably just the molding, but it seems like this plane has different panels on the two different sides. But it could be that it's just the molding that they've done. I am leaving this bay door open. As you can see, I've got it painted white. That's for the ladder. I am leaving that open as I am going to be putting the ladder in this on the plane. But at the same time, I don't want to go in there with a black panel liner. I think the black would be a little too much. On the white, it's too much of a contrast. So I'll do some gray in there. I actually think it's fine just the way it is, doing the white. Okay, so with that done, we can now start working on cleaning this up. I got my Q-tip ready, and I've got my white spirit right there. And get my paper towel. Again, we just dip that in there, get that wet. We don't want it too wet, although we do want it wet, just not too wet. I'm gonna kind of just do this, roll it along there, get some of it off, so I don't have a soaking wet one. So we started here, right? So we're just gonna clean this up. And in theory, we're not taking any of the clear away. We're just doing that. Now you can wipe it with your cloth if you want to clean it up a little more. But the idea is to just get that cleaned up, mostly. And just leave it in the trenches. And that's it. I'm going to wipe this down just to get it off those rivets. Right now what I'm looking at is kind of a very dirty spine on our plane here. And that's okay, but like I've said before, how dirty or how clean you want this thing to be is totally up to you. But because I've got some of the remnants from my first attempt at this, it's iffy. As you can see, it starts to, some panels it looks great, and other panels it pulls it right out of the groove and just eliminates all the detail. And there's not much I can do about that. It just pulls it right out. So I just kind of leave it a little bit dirty and not really worry about it too much. Up. Get it clean on this. Here we go. I'm kind of tilting my Q-tip a little bit to try and get each side of the lines that I want, that I'm working on, rather than going right over, directly over the line. It's hard to see, I'm sure, with the angle I've got the camera at. I'm sorry, guys. So going in between our row of rivets here, because I don't want to completely clean it out of the rivets. I'll come back when I start doing the underside. Let's see how our tail fin is here. We've got a dirty Q-tip, so I'm going to wipe a little bit too. Use a combination of Q-tip to kind of reactivate it, and then use the towel to wipe. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's do this side. Just kind of go over the lines like that. Kind of do a sweeping motion. Sorry, you can't even see now. There we go. Try and get that angle for you. And try and just do a sweeping action. Again, you can leave as little or as much as you want. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to leave it kind of dirty on that side. We'll give it a bit of a wipe just to smear it a little more, but I'll leave that like that. Okay, this side, same thing. Reactivate that so it's more of a smear. This side I'm going to leave fairly clean, especially on the leading edge. There we go. So it just looks like a bunch of streaks. When we do our final clear coat, that probably is going to get cleaned up a lot and will be very subtle. But subtle is what I want. Subtle is kind of what I'm going for. Kind of do a bit of a streaking across here. Sorry guys, that's off camera. Let's move this up here so you can see. Just doing this. If you get a part that's a little stubborn, doesn't want to reactivate right away, I'm going to leave that wet while I smear it like this. Yeah. At some point you might have to add some more of the white spirit to your Q-tip, or even use a new one. And again, how clean you want it is totally up to you. I'm going to clean that panel out and smear it just like that. So we got some smudge, some whatever makes it a dirty tail fin. That's great. Okay, I'm going to switch to this engine. Get into here and clean that up. Oh, I've got 30 seconds and I gotta go get my chicken out of the oven. My phone goes off, my chicken's ready. And that'll be about 15-20 seconds from now. So I will quickly run away and I'll do that and I'll come back, and that's my timer. Okay. Alright guys, I'll be back in a minute or 5.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
So I'm going to add a little bit more, get my Q-tip wet again. Yeah, really. Okay, clean this off a little bit because we got it pretty dirty. Alright, where were we? Let's do this wing. This wing was kind of next in our steps. Oh, I'll just do this first. At the back here. Just cleaned up a little bit. There we go. Okay. Let's do our wing here. Let's do some streaks. There we go. See, it kind of, sort of better when you just kind of activate it outside the lines and then kind of leave it. I like to do this kind of thing. Sometimes I got it really dirty, just kind of pull it along like a streak, as if it was some kind of a hydraulic leak or something that happened. Kind of do that kind of thing. We don't know all the things that happen to this little bird. We have no idea. Maybe there was a hydraulic leak at one time. You know, fitting came loose. We don't know. We don't know everything that happened. So it's okay. You can leave it. Make it up as you go. Right? It's all in the story you want to tell. I just realized why I can't see this very well. I didn't put my glasses back on. Oh, suddenly I can see it really well. Alright. Clean this up. Line here. See, that's a dirty one. So clean that up. I'm gonna wipe. I like to wipe in the direction that the wind goes and travels over it. That way we get realistic streak lines. The detail I had here that I was trying to do, well, kind of just get all wiped away here. But that's the nature of the game. When you've got such shallow panel lining, you know, you put your panel liner in there, and next thing you know, you clean it out, and it just wipes it right clean, and it's gone. And that's just the way it is. I don't want to leave too much on here. It's not like this plane was on an aircraft carrier or anything like that, right? So I don't want too much. You know, I don't want the old no crew chief would ever allow a plane to be this dirty, blah blah blah, kind of that crowd. I do find wiping with the finger is a good way to actually create streaks, because the streaks don't get absorbed by your finger, and you can do this. Your fingers don't really absorb the thinner very well at all, and so when you wipe, you really do get a clean panel where you wiped it with your finger, and you literally pull it. I kind of would like to redo this area here, but it's not that important. Okay, let's do the side of our where we started. once again, it's like, yeah, it's just pulls the paint right out of the groove. I want to do some streaks here. Let's clean this up a bit. I am kind of purposely leaving it, just kind of dabbing it a little bit. As soon as I see it start to activate the paint again, I kind of just stopping and wiping and getting a little bit of a streak, but also some grime is being maintained. But not too much. Especially in this darker gray area, it's a little bit hard to see the panel lines. So just kind of maintaining it, so it doesn't look sloppy. There we go. So far, that's been a good strategy. Get it to activate and then just kind of wipe. Some areas I don't have that luxury, but that's working pretty good. Going to reactivate it and then wipe it. Smear it around. And I'm still getting my kind of a dirty, grimy look. But, you know, I'm not going for a fresh out of the assembly plant look, right? I want her to look like she's been used, just not really abused, you know? Used but not abused. How about that? Okay, that's looking pretty good and I'm happy with that. Although my lines on this side are definitely dirtier than the lines on the other side, so I want to redo those. And I want to do a few on the back here because it's like this is all kind of dirty and grimy and then this is super clean. So we got to fix that. I want to do a little bit of cleanup around here. And on these. Okay, there we go. This line looks terrible. Another thing you want to make sure, if you're leaving your lines and you want it grimy, make sure you've actually done it on the lines and didn't miss the panel line with your paint. That just looks sloppy. Which I did on a few of them. Let's clean this side up just a little bit here. There we go. Okay, let's get our panel liner out again, because we ain't done. We're almost. Once this is all done, we're going to have to go over it again. Now this wing is a lot dirtier than this one, so I also want to redo this one. We're going to redo this one. Especially these lines here. Is that a line? No, it's not. I'm just making stuff up. Okay. This side is a little too clean. When I compare to the other side, this side's too clean. Okay, I'm going to do the back here a little bit. Let's do a few of these. Okay. And my lines here are a little too clean. When I compare the rest of the engine, the rear like I said, I didn't really focus on clear coating the wing. This one really dirty. I want to have like there was a real big leak coming out from there. So let's tip that up. So you can see where I put a big blop there. A big blop. And this wing is a little too clean. So let's do that. Okay. Come on. We got too clean of an engine here. One's super clean, one is really dirty, so I want to do that. And then we're going to flip her over. We're going to start on the underside. On the underside is one of those areas where, you know, sometimes these planes really get dirty on the underneath. Right? A lot of these planes actually get really dirty underneath. The underside is just an area that a lot of times gets ignored. And yeah, I'm really just making stuff up right now because I don't really know. I just look at pictures online and see that so many of these military aircraft, the underside is just filthy in comparison to the rest of the plane. So I'm just kind of assuming, especially out in the real world, you don't cleaning the planes is kind of a luxury that they don't have. It really is amazing how many small panels and how many rivets they've got going on the bottom of this plane. In the back here, and I kind of don't really want to do all of it, but I want to do enough that you know the detailing wasn't lost and wasn't forgotten on the bottom of the plane. Now I'd done this one that was big leak, right? So I'm going to do that here too. I'm going to represent that on the bottom here too. Okay, we'll do the engine. Do these little square things, whatever they are. Panel lines, rivets, everything. Do the everything. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do very much on this, on the outsides of the wings, because there's really just, it's kind of redundant. They're going to be covered by the bombs and stuff like that. And it's not really, it's kind of pointless. Let's, I will do these ones here though. Okay. Alright. So that's that. We're going to redo our Q-tip. We're going to start with the clean side. And we'll start at the top while the bottom dries a little bit. Okay. So, let's get back to these. Reactivate that, do some smearing. There we go, we've got dirty rivets on this side now too. There we go. Let's do our wing here. Smear, smear, smear. This was a thick one, so that's gonna smear pretty good. That actually looks like something spilt on the wing. Let's clean this up a bit. I'm going to do this. Smudge it out. Get this panel a little bit dirty here. There we go. The panel is just looking a little too clean. Now here's where we go with the nice cleanup part. Clean the inside of this panel and smudge it. Smear it. You see how I basically took all the dirt from this panel and transferred it to this one, right? And then we're going to take this one and clean it up. Smear it down. There we go. So now this wing looks a little bit dirty, just like the other one. And I like that. I want to have it a little bit dirty. It just looks more uniform, like it's proper. Let's clean up this part of the engine, but again, not too much. I want to leave some of the line, some of the grime, like that. Same here. Let's do this. And wipe that back. The whole activate and wipe method seems to be working pretty well. Activate and wipe. I should call that, I should patent that. Activate and wipe. It helps, it seems to be helping to preserve the panel lines while cleaning out that particular panel, and add some streaking that makes it look kind of realistic. Yeah, nice dirty engine now. Looks good, matches the other side. Okay. This side could be a little dirtier, but okay. Go along our spine here at the back. Activate and wipe, activate and wipe, activate and wipe. All right, let's do this, activate and wipe. As my Q-tip gets dirtier, I kind of want to use it to add some, like just some random things like this, and wipe that. So it's just like I'm actually just adding a little bit of dirt smudge for no apparent reason. You know, it just adds some dirtiness to it. Now this inner side, I added a nice stain here that I need to clean or refine, just because the wing's looking a little too clean for my liking. There we go, that's a bit better. Alright. There we go. There's a top done. Top is finished. Flip her over. Let's do our engines first. Again, we're going to clean, wipe, activate, wipe. Because as we learned on the top, if you activate too much, it wipes it away clean, and we don't want that. But we don't want a sloppy mess, we want it refined. So, just a little bit of an activation, clean it up, and that's good. Okay. There we go. So activate this. Activate this. And these ones, I didn't do a lot on here. The rivets really make short work of your Q-tip, that's for sure. Okay, we're going to start here. Let's get this guy activated. My Q-tip's getting pretty dirty, so anything I touch is basically getting filthy. Which is good because you can do things like this, add a little bit of grime streaking in different spots when you got your Q-tip dirty. But the detrimental part is you don't get that much time to work with it because it is getting a bit dry. It's time for a new Q-tip, I think. I think I can get away with just reactivating the other side, getting some more thinner on this side where it's still kind of clean. So let's redo this side. Okay. Let's clean up these a little bit. There we go. The underside, of course, is one of those areas you kind of want to leave it dirty, but at the same time you want it looking realistic. So I'm basically just focusing on the panels close to the rivets, but I'm going to leave it really dirty. I'm not going to wipe it away. I'm just kind of refining the lines, cleaning them up a little bit, and I'm just going to leave them. because I know the underside of this thing is supposed to be dirty. So I'm leaving the paint. I'm just kind of refining the lines a little bit. There you go. Like I said, I'm not really cleaning it up too much, just a little bit. Just so that my lines aren't super, like that shouldn't look like a felt pen across there, right? So kind of using it to look like it's smudged and what do they call it? It's blended in. That's a good opportunity to add a really dirty streak, like something leaked. I can clean that up, and I will, but just utilizing that, the fact that it's really blackened my Q-tip, I can use that in other spaces like this, pull some of this back so I've got dirtiness here. I've got some dirtiness going on. Let's clean this up and transfer that dirt over here. I'm gonna wipe. It's a little too dirty, isn't it? It doesn't look very realistic because there's so much. So, activate, wipe, activate, wipe. And we can clean our clean our Q-tip a little bit. We'll do a little more. By using the thinner, we can clean up our Q-tip. You see just what spinning it on there. You can see how much I'm taking away to clean it up, but it's leaving the Q-tip wet so that I can clean up this panel a little bit. So the panel don't look so bad. That looks good. Now I am going to have the fuel tank in the center here, so it's not really going to be seen. I'm just going to pull these streaks back a little bit. Like that. There we go. That looks pretty good. She's looking dirty, but not too dirty. There's definitely something going on in that center there. That's good. I like that. Okay. So, basically, that's it for now. I need to do a whole bunch of stuff. I need to do it on do that same kind of procedure on like my fuel tank. Get in here and put some lines and get some dirt and make my fuel tank dirty. I'm gonna do that a little bit, some panel lining on my bombs. My screen is frozen and I don't know why, but we are frozen, so I'm gonna just switch camera back, and because this screen's not frozen, I don't know why my camera is frozen on me there, but I want to say bye guys and thanks for watching, and hit that like and subscribe, and I guess we'll see you all in the next one.